Here's one thing that's very, very consistent about my next guest, David Stockman. He has been railing against the debt through Democratic and Republican presidents, even though he's Ronald Reagan's budget director. But remember, Ronald Reagan took him to the woodshed back then because he was worried about what seems like paltry debt by comparison now. $20 trillion worth now. David Stockman, the author of the book Trump, with me right now. David, I had a pleasure of passing along your concerns about debt to not only all of these conservatives who are espousing big tax cuts, but mainstream Republicans who are worried about the health care law, all the way up to the Treasury Secretary of the United States about how much wiggle room is in the budget. To your point, not much. And they all poo-pooed you. What do you think of that?
Well, I think they're dead wrong. The countdown to crisis actually begins next Wednesday, March 15th. The Fed is going to raise interest rates. It's not going to stop 3 or 4 times this year. It has no choice. It's dithered for 99 months at the zero bound. It has to allow the market to normalize. Second, the debt ceiling freezes in at $20 trillion, and they're burning through cash at the Treasury like drunken sailors. I can't emphasize this enough, and I think the S&L guy, the savings and loan guy at the Treasury, has no idea what's happening in his own joint. In the first 46 days of the Trump administration, they've burned through $294 billion of cash. They started with $382 billion. It's down to $88 billion. It's dropping by the day. At the rate they lost cash last year, between March and early June, they will be out of cash by Memorial Day. There is no reason to believe that will be any different this year.
Raise the debt ceiling. Don't we always just raise the debt ceiling?
Well, there is no pathway to a majority in the Congress that soon. They have declared war on the Democrats, and I guess they deserve it. But after all of the immigration ban, the walls at the border, the deportations, the attacks on Obama, and frankly, you know, I think Trump was right. He was bugged. But the point is there are 0 Democrat votes for a debt ceiling increase right now. And in the bloodbath that's happening on Obamacare Light, which is a disaster in my view.
You're not encouraged by what they're coming up with.
I'm not encouraged, but what I'm saying, Neil, is that by May, the Republican Party is going to be in tatters. There will be no majority to raise the debt ceiling, and then the rubber will meet the road. They'll have to start all of these gimmicks, disinvesting from the trust fund and so forth. But I've been in Washington a long time, and I know when that starts, the disinvesting and the gimmicks, it's a sign to everybody that the crisis is near. Everything
you
else
can't grow out of it? You can't get a tax cut-related boom that can grow out of it?
No, you can't get a tax cut boom in 2 weeks or 5 weeks or 10 weeks. But
but if the direction is down, if it creates enough activity that it starts going down.
No. I mean, there's no chance it's going down. The first quarter GDP is coming in at 1%. I mean, this whole little flurry of bullish enthusiasm we've had in the stock market is meaningless once it's clear that the tax cuts aren't going to happen and this debt ceiling crisis is going to take down the whole system. Now, why did they allow $294 billion of cash to be burned up? Because I want to tell you something really important. Only $237 billion of that was to cover the inherited deficit that you can't blame Trump for. But he used $57 billion of cash to lower the debt ceiling into the freeze.
I should have put the Cardinal in here and not you, because you're kind of bumming me out. David, seriously, I want to thank you very much. We got a lot of rush here, a lot of breaking news here, including some developments in Germany I want to share with you right